Okay, so this is a quick tutorial on how to use the custom database functions and the SBR function in command to add mounts and data links to platforms. So I've created a quick blank scenario as an example here. We've got the DDG 1000 Zumwalt, which is going to be our control for this test essentially. And we've also got a container vessel, which obviously doesn't have any weapons on board. What we're going to do is we're going to add the Zumwalt railgun, which fires these HVP, high velocity projectiles here, to the container ship, and then have the container ship fire on one of these targets out here. We've also got a P8 Poseidon there, and that's just there to provide targeting data to the two vessels. So firstly, we will add a mount to the commercial container vessel. We'll do that by clicking the add mount. First of all, click the weapons button, then the add mount button, and then we'll filter by keyword, type in HVP, and that will bring us up with what we need here. We'll select a arc for the mount to be able to fire in, and then we'll add selected. So as we can see, that's added the HVP mount to the container ship. We'll just click off and click back for it to refresh, and that's essentially good to go there. Now, we'll be able to fire it at the targets. Let's have a look. So press Shift and F1 to manually allocate a target, and unfortunately we can't connect to a mandatory data link. So what that means is that if we open up our unit weapon record database entry here, we can see that it requires a data link, which is receive only secure UHF radio. The important thing is the Aegis missile data link one way. So the best place to find the information that we need about that data link is from a working unit fresh from the database that has a weapon that requires that data link. So the Zumwalt is a perfect candidate there. Now, how we extract that information, we're going to use a little bit of Lua. It looks a bit complicated, but it's very, very simple. So I've opened up the Lua console, and you do that in the editor by clicking on the editor and then Lua script console. Once that's open, we're going to assign a variable for getUnit for the Zumwalt, and then we're going to print out the unit components from Zumwalt there. And it'll look something like this, big wall of text. I happen to know from looking earlier that we're looking here at the Aegis command data link, and that's component number 34. So just to isolate it a little bit more and make it a little bit easier to read, I'm just going to put in list number 34 for that particular list. And that'll bring us up a sort of isolated version of that. Now, the information we're looking for there is the component database ID, which is number 66. So we just need to remember 66, and then we're going to go into the SBR toolkit. I'm going to generate a Delta template, and I'm going to call this one example. So a Delta template is essentially an XML file that simply shows us in XML format the differences between the unit as it is fresh from the database versus as it's portrayed in the scenario. So here we can see that in this particular scenario we have a P8 Poseidon, and the difference that it has compared to being fresh from the database is that the fuel is slightly different, and that would be explained by it being aloft for a little while I've been running this scenario. We have a container vessel here, which has been damaged during some of the previous testing that I've done. And we've got a container vessel here, which is the one that we've just added the HVP mount to. So in order for us to add a communications device, we need to put in some XML code. And that code is comadd, all of this is inside pointy brackets, by the way, comadd _66, 66 being the database ID of the communications component that we would like to add. This here is just a comment, and that's essentially for human eyes only. The program won't pay any attention to what's inside of this comment when it runs. It's just so that if you look at this again in the future as a human and want to read and have a bit of a reminder of what this is, you can put some notes in there about what it is and why you put it there. Now that that's been added, we're going to click save, close this down, go back to the SBR toolkit, apply an SBR script. I'm going to use this one here. And it's been applied to the current scenario. So I'm just going to check that we've actually added our communications data link. Yes, we have. So now we've got a cargo ship that has it has a high velocity projectile railgun and an Aegis command data link. So now let's see if we can get that railgun to fire. Should be no problem. So we've got the authorization to fire, click start, and now as you can see, it's fired off the high velocity projectiles. While it might seem a little bit daunting to deal with Lure and SBR, it really is not that complicated. There is pretty good instructions in the manual on how to deal with SBR, and there's lots of online resources for dealing with command Lure. If you guys need any help with this, please don't hesitate to contact us on the Matrix forums. Thanks for your time and good luck.